Imagine yourself settling into a comfortable position, allowing the weight of the day to drift slowly away from you. In a moment, we will begin a long, unhurried journey across one of the most ancient networks of human travel. A world of soft desert winds, quiet mountains, and distant markets whose sounds have long since faded into history. Tonight we will wander along the Silk Road, not as conquerors, not as scholars, but as simple observers, moving gently through a landscape shaped by centuries of trade, belief, hardship, and curiosity. The Silk Road was never a single road. Instead, it was a loosely woven tapestry of pathways stretching from the edges of Europe to the heart of China, from the cool mountain passes of the Pamirs to the warm, salt-tinged breezes near the Mediterranean. For thousands of travelers, this route was both a promise and a burden promising prosperity, but asking patience, endurance, and a quiet acceptance of uncertainty. As you listen, there is no need to stay fully alert. You may allow your thoughts to drift, just as caravans drifted across long stretches of open desert. Our pace will be slow, steady, and soothing, a rhythm that mirrors the gentle steps of camels moving across soft sand. We begin our journey at dawn, in a quiet caravan preparing for another long day. The fires are low, the air cool, and the world seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. Your role is humble yet meaningful. A merchant's assistant, learning the rhythm of life on the road. Let the morning unfold. The first rays of sunlight paint the eastern horizon in shades of soft rose and pale gold. Around you, the camp is slowly waking. You hear the gentle stirring of people, the soft jingle of a camel's bell, and the low crackle of a freshly tended fire. The air smells of dust, spiced tea, and the faint sweet scent of dates. Someone hands you a warm cup, and the comforting heat seeps into your hands. There is no rush here. Everything is done with a practiced, deliberate calm. The older merchants, their faces etched with the stories of 100 journeys, move with a quiet confidence that soothes any lingering anxieties. They know the path. They know the rhythm of the sun and the stars. As the sun climbs higher, the caravan begins to move. The motion is a gentle, swaying rock, a lullaby of movement that has soothed travelers for centuries. You are seated comfortably atop a Bactrian camel, its two humps creating a secure cradle. With each step, you feel a gentle rise and fall, a rhythmic sway that invites your body to relax completely. The landscape around you is vast and minimalist. Dunes of sand, sculpted by the wind into gentle flowing curves, stretch as far as the eye can see. The color of the sand is not uniform. It shifts from pale cream to deep ochre, changing with the angle of the light. The sun is warm on your skin, but a light breeze keeps the heat from becoming overwhelming. It whispers secrets of distant lands, carrying the scent of wild herbs growing sparsely between the dunes. Your thoughts are free to wander with it. There are no demands on your attention, no problems to solve. There is only the gentle motion, the vast sky, and the soft, crunching sound of the camel's feet on the sand. Occasionally, you might see a desert fox watching from a distance, its curiosity piqued by the passing train before it vanishes as silently as it appeared. As midday approaches, the caravan leader, a wise and patient man, signals for a rest. The camels kneel with a soft grunt, and you dismount, your feet sinking slightly into the warm sand. The camp is set up with practiced efficiency under the shade of a small, rocky outcrop. Blankets are laid out and a simple meal is shared. You eat slowly, savoring the flavors of flatbread, dried fruits, and salty cheese. The conversation around you is a low, gentle murmur, a blend of different languages and dialects that flows like a quiet stream. You don't need to understand the words to feel the sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. Here, in the heart of the desert, everyone is connected by the journey itself. After the meal, there is a time for rest. You find a comfortable spot in the shade, the rock at your back still holding a little of the morning's coolness. You close your eyes and the sounds of the camp fade into a gentle hum. The world simplifies into warmth, stillness, and the feeling of complete safety. The desert, which once seemed so empty, now feels full of a deep, ancient peace. You can feel the steady, slow pulse of the earth beneath you. In this moment, you are simply a part of the landscape, as timeless as the sand and the sky. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be except right here, drifting into a peaceful, restorative sleep. Allow your mind to rest, held in this ancient rhythm of travel and stillness. Let the gentle desert winds carry you deeper and deeper into a state of profound relaxation. The morning begins before the sun has fully risen. A pale blue glow rests along the horizon, soft and distant, as if the daylight is unsure whether it wants to arrive yet. Around you, the camp is slowly stirring. Quiet footsteps press into the dust. A few whispered greetings float through the still air. Somewhere nearby, a camel exhales in a long, heavy sigh, its breath forming a faint cloud that dissolves almost immediately. You rise slowly, feeling the slight chill that always clings to the desert before sunrise. Your blanket is thin, edged with grains of sand that have made their way into nearly every fold of fabric you carry. The desert has a way of reminding travelers that it is ever-present coating clothing, slipping into bowls, settling deep into hair and skin. Even so, there is comfort in this predictability. The desert does not change its habits, and in that familiar rhythm, you find a kind of quiet stability. Around the campsite, the remnants of last night's fire glow faintly. Embers crackle softly beneath a layer of ash. The smell of burned wood lingers, mixing with the earthy scent of camel hides and the faint sharpness of drying leather. Someone has already set a pot of water over the heat, though it will be many minutes before it grows warm enough to drink. Water is precious here. Every drop is measured, carried, protected. You take only a small sip to moisten your throat, letting the coolness spread gently before swallowing. The caravan leader, a man with lines around his eyes that speak of countless journeys, moves silently through the camp. He gives a subtle nod to those already awake. His presence is calm, steady an anchor in a world where so much relies on fragile balance. A poorly secured saddle, a frightened pack animal, or a sudden dust storm can change the entire course of a day. But this morning, all seems peaceful. Your first task is the care of the animals. Camels, patient, sturdy creatures, form the backbone of the caravan. Their rhythm becomes your rhythm. As you approach them, you can hear the gentle shifting of their limbs, the soft crunch of sand beneath their padded feet. One camel turns its head slightly, blinking slowly at you with dark, steady eyes. There is no urgency in its expression, only a quiet awareness. You run your hand along its neck, feeling the rough, wiry texture of its fur. There is dust here too, clinging to the coarse hairs in small clusters. You brush some of it away, though you know it will return within minutes once you begin walking. The camel barely reacts. It has long accepted the monotony of these mornings. You check the ropes and straps, adjusting them carefully so they will rest comfortably across its back during the day's travel. Nearby, another assistant is sorting supplies, textiles wrapped in protective layers of cloth, small sacks of spices whose fragrances subtly escape their bindings, and a few fragile items that must be handled with special care. A faint aroma of cinnamon mingles with the desert air, drifting gently around you before fading into the openness of the landscape. These scents offer a small reminder of the distant cities you left behind. Places filled with noise, color, and bustle. Out here, everything is quieter, muted, softened by distance. Breakfast is simple. A small piece of flatbread, slightly hardened overnight, and a bit of dried fruit. The sweetness of the fruit is welcome, dissolving slowly on your tongue. You eat in silence, listening to the camels shifting their weight, to the murmured conversations of the other travelers, and to the soft hum of the desert itself. Even in its stillness, the desert has a voice, a low, continuous whisper carried by the breeze. As the sun begins to rise, its first rays stretch across the sand in long, delicate lines. The temperature warms almost imperceptibly, promising a heat that will build steadily throughout the day. The sky becomes a pale, washed-out gold, then brightens into a deeper hue. Shadows shorten. The caravan prepares to move. You help lift a bundle onto one of the larger camels, adjusting the weight so it balances evenly. The rope creaks softly as it tightens. You take care not to rush. Each movement must be deliberate, precise. A poorly tied load can shift unexpectedly during the long march, causing discomfort for the animal and potential damage to valuable cargo. Once everything is secured, the caravan begins to form a long, patient line. The leader takes his position at the front. You fall somewhere in the middle, close enough to hear instructions if needed, far enough that you can allow your mind to wander as you walk. This is the quiet part of the day. No markets, no negotiations, no unfamiliar faces. Just the steady march of camels, the rhythmic creak of saddles, and the soft, shifting sand beneath your feet. The heat grows slowly but surely. It presses gently at first, like a hand resting on your shoulder. By midday, it will wrap around your entire body, sinking into your clothing, settling into your bones. For now, it remains manageable. You take a slow breath and feel it warm your lungs. The landscape around you changes little as the morning stretches on. Rolling dunes give way to flat, pebbled stretches. Occasionally, a cluster of hardy shrubs appears, their leaves small and dusty, clinging to life with quiet determination. Their presence is reassuring, a sign that water lies somewhere beneath the surface, even if far beyond your reach. Conversations fade. The only sounds are the soft interactions between travelers and animals, the gentle grunt of a camel, the clink of metal rings on saddles, the slight swish of fabric each time someone adjusts their position. The monotony is powerful, but not unpleasant. It creates a kind of meditative state where thoughts drift freely. You imagine the distant cities you are traveling toward, places you have never seen but have heard described in careful detail. Bazaars filled with unfamiliar languages. Workshops where silk glistens in the sun. Temples with incense curling upward in delicate threads. As the sun climbs higher, the caravan pauses to rest. More water is distributed, measured, controlled, respected. You take only what you need. The camels lower themselves to the ground with long, deliberate movements, folding their legs in a way that seems almost ritualistic. You sit beside one of them, listening to its slow, steady breathing. There is something almost comforting in the repetition of that breath, a reminder that every creature here follows the same simple rhythm of survival. Dust collects on your boots. Your throat grows dry again. But you have grown used to these sensations. They no longer feel like discomforts, merely companions on the road. As the morning stretches toward midday, the caravan begins to move once more. The shadows have shortened, the heat has intensified, and yet there is still a long day ahead. But this is life on the Silk Road, patient, deliberate, unending in its slow progression. And as you walk, you begin to appreciate the quiet beauty of this journey, not in excitement, but in the simple, enduring rhythm of existence. Thanks for joining this journey through time. If you enjoyed this immersive experience, please like this video and subscribe for more stories from history. Moving on. As the desert morning slowly dissolves into the afternoon, let your mind drift away from the caravan around you, toward another traveler who once crossed these same lands, following a path shaped not by trade or profit, but by conviction. Imagine a lone figure standing at the edge of the ancient city of Chang'an in the 7th century. The city, vast and structured, pulses with the quiet rhythm of early dawn. Its gates are tall, carved with intricate details that catch the morning light. Markets are only beginning to stir. Inns still hold the warmth of the night, and monks walk softly through temple corridors, chanting morning sutras that echo gently along stone walls. Among these monks stands Zhuangzang, a young scholar with a calm expression and a resolve much deeper than his years might suggest. His robes are simple, dyed in muted saffron. A small bundle of scrolls rests at his side, though he knows he cannot take many with him. He has been troubled for years by complex theological disagreements within the Buddhist texts available in China. The versions he has studied feel incomplete, fragmented, like echoes of teachings that once rang with clarity. And so he has made a decision that will shape not only his own life, but the course of Buddhist scholarship for centuries. He will travel to India, the homeland of the teachings, to seek the truth at its source. It is a journey forbidden at the time. Foreign travel without imperial permission risks punishment. Yet Xuanzang's calm determination does not waver. He slips quietly out of Chang'an in the early hours, moving with the steady, deliberate pace of someone who understands the weight of his own choice. The city behind him fades slowly into a pale horizon. Zhuangzang travels first through familiar terrain, fertile regions, river valleys, and small towns connected by well-trodden paths. But soon, the comfort of these settled places gives way to harsh, arid landscapes. He walks for hours in the hot sun, carrying only a small supply of water. The ground beneath him cracks in long, jagged patterns, like the surface of ancient pottery left too long in the sun. At night, he sleeps under the open sky, listening to the faint murmurs of distant animals and the low moan of wind brushing across the earth. The stars stretch endlessly above him. There's a sense of solitude, but never isolation. Xuanzang seems to regard the world with quiet acceptance, as if every hardship is simply another verse in a longer, unfolding scripture. Days turn into weeks, weeks stretch into months. He reaches the borders of the Gobi Desert, a place travelers speak of with hushed respect. The winds here can erase footprints within minutes, reshaping the dunes so thoroughly that even experienced guides become uncertain of their paths. Xuanzang has no guide. He carries only his determination, a few supplies, and his devotion to the teachings he seeks to understand. The desert greets him with silence, a heavy, all-consuming silence. Sand extends in every direction, shimmering faintly in the sunlight. He steps forward, each footfall sinking slightly into the warm sand. The air tastes dry, sharp, as though stripped of all moisture. For days, he follows a faint line of footprints left by a previous group of travelers. But the wind soon claims even those traces, leaving him to navigate by the position of the sun and the distant shape of rocky outcrops. His water supply dwindles. His pace slows. There are moments when his strength falters and his vision blurs with exhaustion. Yet even in these moments, Xuanzang's resolve remains unbroken. He recites verses softly to himself, letting the familiar rhythm guide his steps. It is said that, at one point during his crossing, he nearly collapsed from thirst. But the sight of a distant mirage-like pattern on the sand, perhaps a whisper of wind, perhaps a trick of the light renewed his determination. Eventually, after days that felt like years, he emerges from the desert's grasp. The land becomes firmer underfoot. Sparse vegetation reappears. And with the return of greenery comes a profound sense of relief, not dramatic or overwhelming, but quiet, like the easing of tension in the shoulders after a long-held breath. Xuanzang continues his journey westward, passing through kingdoms whose cultures blend into one another in subtle, intricate ways. He moves through Gaoshang, where the king welcomes him warmly, offering a place to rest and scholars to converse with. Xuanzang is grateful but remains focused on his purpose. He declines the king's invitations to stay permanently, a testament to the clarity of his mission. In Kocha, he engages in long conversations with local monks, discussing philosophical and doctrinal questions late into the night. Their lanterns flicker with each shift of the desert wind, casting elongated shadows across clay walls. There is harmony in these discussions, yet Xuanzang continues onward, driven by the belief that the original teachings lie farther ahead. He crosses towering mountain ranges, first the Tian Shan, then the Pamirs. The air grows thin. Snow crunches beneath his feet. The wind whistles through narrow passes with a cold that bites through even the thickest layers of cloth. Avalanches rumble faintly in distant valleys. The world feels both immense and intimate, filled with quiet reminders of nature's vastness. Eventually, he reaches the lands of northern India, where the climate softens and the air fills with scents of vegetation. Monasteries appear along the roadsides, places of learning, meditation, and debate. Xuanzang visits many of them, exchanging ideas with scholars who have devoted their lives to preserving the teachings of the Buddha. At last he arrives at Nalanda, the great center of Buddhist learning. The monastery is immense, composed of broad courtyards, lecture halls, libraries, and dormitories. The sound of chanting drifts continuously through the corridors, serene and steady. Monks move with unhurried steps, their robes whispering softly as they pass. Here, Xuanzang finds what he has been seeking: teachers who can answer the questions that have troubled him for so long. He studies tirelessly, absorbing intricate philosophical distinctions, exploring ancient texts, and copying manuscripts with precise, deliberate strokes. Years pass. Not hurriedly, not slowly, simply at their natural pace. When Xuanzang finally returns to China, he carries with him hundreds of manuscripts and a clarity of understanding that would reshape Buddhist thought for generations. His translations become foundational works, steady guides for countless seekers. As we return to the present moment, imagine the soft rhythm of your own breathing aligning with Xuanzang's patient steps across mountains and deserts. His journey was perilous, yet deeply calm in spirit. A long, quiet pilgrimage taken not for glory, but for truth. And now, from his footsteps, we turn back toward the sands themselves, toward the shapes that linger beneath them. If you made it this far, do hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon for more such content. Moving on. As the memory of Xuanzang's pilgrimage settles in the mind, let's drift deeper into the desert, into a place where the sands hold secrets older than empires, and silence feels alive. The Taklamakan Desert, often called the Sea of Death, stretches across western China in a vast sweep of dunes. Its sands move with slow deliberation, reshaping the landscape year after year. Travelers describe it as both beautiful and unsettling, an expanse so wide and quiet that the horizon seems to blur into eternity. Yet buried beneath these dunes lie the remains of ancient cities, places once filled with voices, markets, and travelers who believed their settlements would endure forever. Now their only witnesses are the sands. Imagine standing at the edge of this enormous desert. The air is dry, warm, and still. The light is soft, filtered through a thin veil of dust. Before you stretches a world of gentle gold tones, its surface marked by ripples like a calm sea. Somewhere beneath these dunes lie the ruins of Naya, Lulan, and other forgotten settlements' names that feel whispered, as though the desert prefers them to remain quiet. Archaeologists who explore this region often begin their mornings early, before the heat becomes overwhelming. They move carefully, knowing a single gust of wind can erase delicate traces in an instant. Their tools are simple brushes, small picks, and sometimes only their hands. The sand must be treated with respect. It holds memories that crumble easily. As the excavation begins, the desert reveals its past in fragments, small, delicate, and strangely intimate. A wooden comb, its teeth still surprisingly smooth. A fragment of silk, its color faded to a dusty rose. A piece of painted wood from a doorframe, its pattern barely visible. Each object feels like a quiet voice, speaking softly across time. Of all the lost cities, Lulan is perhaps the most mysterious. Once a thriving oasis town on a major Silk Road route, it flourished for centuries. Merchants passed through daily. Diplomats exchanged messages. The scent of spices and cooked grain drifted through its narrow streets. But then gradually the city was abandoned, its wells drying, its people leaving in search of water. Over time, the desert reclaimed everything. Houses collapsed, wooden beams fell, and the wind layered fine sand over every doorway until the city disappeared entirely. When explorers rediscovered Lulan in the early 20th century, they found it astonishingly well preserved. Wooden structures stood upright, as though waiting for their owners to return. The arrangement of rooms, the pottery, the furnishings all remained like quiet echoes of daily life. One of the most striking discoveries was a long piece of ancient writing, etched carefully onto wood. Its characters were neat and purposeful, yet the script belonged to a language scholars could only partially understand. It was a message from a vibrant world, now reduced to a puzzle whose missing pieces may never be found. Near Lulan, archaeologists also discovered the remains of travelers who had once crossed this harsh landscape. Their clothing, remarkably preserved, still bore threads of bright colors. Their hair lay gently across their shoulders. Though somber, these discoveries hold a certain tranquility, a reminder of the delicate balance between life and the environment, and of how history can slumber peacefully beneath the earth, waiting for gentle hands to reveal it. Further south lay the ruins of Nia, another settlement hidden beneath the dunes. Excavations there uncovered wooden tablets bound with string, bearing legal records, simple, practical documents detailing daily affairs, land disputes, marriage agreements, and debts owed. These writings humanize the past, revealing that the concerns of ancient citizens were not so different from our own. Archaeologists also unearthed beautifully carved wooden furniture, beads from distant lands, and remnants of musical instruments. One object, a small wooden toy shaped like a horse, suggests children once played along Nia's alleys, their laughter now swallowed by centuries of shifting sand. At certain sites, the desert wind creates a soft humming as it slips through the ribbed edges of partially exposed ruins. The sound is faint, almost like the murmur of distant voices. It's easy to imagine the people who once lived there, their morning routines, their evening meals, their quiet rituals before sleep now echoing only in memory. The mystery of these cities lies not only in their disappearance, but in their endurance. How do communities flourish in a place so unforgiving? What knowledge allowed them to gather water and sustain life? And when the sands began to shift, what choices did they face? Did they leave in small groups, uncertain of where to go? The desert does not answer. It preserves fragments, but not explanations. In some areas, wooden beams poke through the sand like the ribs of ancient ships long stranded. They offer glimpses of grand halls and intricate layouts now smoothed by time. Archaeologists map these fragments carefully, knowing that a storm could bury them again for decades. The Taklamakan is not a cruel desert at heart, it is simply patient. It holds its secrets gently, waiting until someone passes by with the curiosity to uncover them. and the humility to understand that some mysteries will always remain veiled. As you stand at the edge of these lost cities in your imagination, the wind brushes lightly across your face. Scent gathers around your boots. The air carries a faint dryness, a whisper of ancient stories. In this stillness, it becomes easy to sense the long rhythm of the Silk Road, the way time moves slowly, yet inevitably, and how entire civilizations can drift into silence without ever truly being forgotten. We now leave these quiet ruins behind, returning once more to the living world of the road. This time to a place where travelers rest, feast, and share their stories beneath lantern light. After days of steady travel, days shaped by heat, dust, and the quiet rhythm of moving animals, the sight of a caravanserai on the horizon brings a gentle wave of relief. These fortified inns, scattered across the Silk Road like stepping stones, promise travelers a rare moment of comfort, a pause in the endless stretch of desert and mountain. Imagine yourself approaching one now, in the soft glow of late evening. The sun has dipped low, turning the sky a warm shade of amber. The silhouette of the caravanserai rises slowly from the earth, its walls thick, rectangular, and reassuringly solid after so many hours spent exposed to the open world. As you come closer, you notice the heavy wooden door, reinforced with metal bands. It stands slightly ajar, allowing the faint sound of laughter and the smell of warm food to drift outward into the cooling air. Around you, the caravan's camels begin to shift with a new sense of energy, sensing rest ahead. The caravan leader signals the group forward with a calm, practiced gesture. Crossing the threshold is like entering a sanctuary. Inside, the air feels different, cooler, softer, carrying the sense of spices, baked bread, and damp stone. The courtyard is large and open, surrounded by simple but elegant archways that lead into sleeping rooms, storerooms, and stables. Lanterns hang from hooks in the walls, their flames swaying gently, casting warm patterns across the ground. Travelers from many cultures are already gathered within. You see merchants from Persia, their long robes flowing gracefully as they speak in low, melodic tones. There are Central Asian traders with weathered faces and bright woven sashes, Indian pilgrims carrying small bundles and prayer beads, and Chinese officials resting beside carefully guarded crates tied neatly with silk cords. The caravanserai is a crossroads not merely of trade, but of humanity. You lead your camel to the stable area. The ground here is covered with straw, and the scent of hay mixes pleasantly with the gentle musk of animals finally able to rest. You brush the camel's neck, feeling the roughness of its fur and watching as it settles gratefully onto the ground. Water troughs glisten faintly under lantern light. The animals drink slowly, each sip creating small ripples across the quiet surface. Once your duties are complete, you return to the central courtyard where a long, low table has been prepared. Bowls of steaming stew release an aroma rich with lentils, onions, and subtle spices carried from kitchens far to the west. Flatbreads rest in neat stacks, warm to the touch. A pot of sweet, fragrant tea sits at the center, its steam rising in delicate wisps. You sit on a woven mat, feeling its soft, textured threads beneath your palms. Others sit nearby, their postures relaxed, their voices softened by fatigue and comfort. As bowls are passed around, there is no rush, only the slow, communal pleasure of a shared meal after a long day on the road. The stew tastes simple, hearty. Warmth spreads through your chest. The tea, lightly sweetened, leaves a gentle floral note lingering on your tongue. Around you, conversations drift like soft currents. Some travelers discuss the day's journey. Others speak of distant homelands, mountain villages, coastal cities, desert oases, each story delivered with calm nostalgia. The mix of languages forms a soothing tapestry of sound. Later in the evening, as more travelers gather, music begins. A musician from Bukhara carries a long-necked lute and plucks slow, resonant notes that echo softly against the courtyard walls. Another joins with a small hand drum, tapping a steady, gentle rhythm. The melodies are not lively or loud. They are contemplative, drifting comfortably through the space like smoke from a quiet fire. The music invites listeners to sink deeper into rest. You feel your shoulders loosen, your breath slow as the notes weave into the atmosphere. Some travelers lean back on their cushions, letting their eyes close. Others hum softly along, adding to the low, steady harmony. The caravanserai at night is unlike anything on the open road protected. Communal, enriched by sensory comforts rarely encountered during long travel. Yet even here, the atmosphere remains muted, respectful of the weary souls who seek only rest. As the evening progresses, stories begin to flow. Not dramatic tales, but gentle recollections. A silk merchant from Samarkand describes the quiet work of dye making, the way colors settle into fabric, like memories settling into the mind. A scholar heading west explains a legend about stars guiding travelers, his voice low and steady. A spice trader recounts the slow, patient cultivation of saffron fields, each flower picked by hand in the cool hours before dawn. You share a story as well, nothing grand, just a small memory from home. A detail about a morning market, or a familiar smell from your childhood. The listeners nod softly, appreciating the simple humanity of it. These stories are not told to impress, but to connect. In a world shaped by distance, they become gentle bridges between strangers. Eventually, the lanterns burn lower. The musicians rest their instruments, conversations taper into calm silence. One by one, travelers retire to the small rooms lining the courtyard rooms with thick walls that hold the coolness of stone. Simple beds with soft blankets and narrow windows that allow a single strand of moonlight to enter. You step inside your room and sit on the edge of the bed. The quiet feels deep, almost velvety. As you lie down, you feel the softness beneath you, a softness so unfamiliar after days of hard ground that it almost startles you. Outside, the final sounds of the caravanserai continue at a slow, steady pace. A camel shifting in its stall, a distant footstep, the faint crackle of a dying fire. These sounds lull you gently, like a lullaby composed by the road itself. And as you close your eyes, you feel the presence of countless travelers who have rested in similar places over the centuries. People who walked the same deserts, listened to similar melodies, and found solace within walls just like these. The caravanserai is more than a place. It is a pause, a breath. A moment of shared humanity on a long, ancient road. Thank you for journeying with us today. If you enjoyed this travel back in time, please like this video and subscribe for more stories from the crossroads of history. We'll see you on the next adventure. As the night settles fully over the caravanserai, and the soft hum of distant conversations fades into silence, the long journey along the Silk Road begins to draw to a close. Not in abruptness, and not in triumph, but in the gentle, unhurried way that all journeys eventually settle into memory. You have traced the slow steps of ancient travelers, felt the quiet endurance of desert mornings, walked in the steady determination of Xuanzang's pilgrimage, stood beside the lost cities of the Taklamakan, and rested beneath lantern light in a place where cultures intertwined like threads of silk. Across these hours, the road has revealed itself not as a line on a map, but as a living rhythm, one built from patience, curiosity, hardship, and the small comforts that sustain the human spirit. The Silk Road was never truly about silk or spice or gold. It was about movement, an ongoing exchange of ideas, beliefs, stories, and simple acts of survival. As you lie here now, letting the weight of the day dissolve, you may feel echoes of those ancient footsteps blending quietly with your own breath. The slow rise and fall of your chest mirrors the soft sway of camels walking across sand. The quiet around you resembles the peaceful stillness of desert nights. And just as the travelers once paused in caravanserais to rest before the next stretch of their journey, you too can let yourself rest without urgency, without expectation. The world of the Silk Road continues in the background of your mind, stretching across vast distances at a pace that asks nothing of you. The dunes shift softly, the lanterns glow faintly. The wind carries whispers of forgotten scripts and distant songs. Everything moves slowly, calmly, gently. Allow yourself now to drift with that rhythm, to settle into the quiet, to feel your thoughts growing lighter, softer, more distant. The ancient road continues into the horizon, but your part in the journey, for tonight, is complete. You have walked far enough, you have listened long enough, now there is only rest. The kind of rest that wraps around you like a warm desert night. Steady, peaceful, and unbroken. Let the stillness take hold. Let sleep come naturally, like dawn following darkness. And when you wake, the memory of this long, gentle journey will linger softly, a reminder of the quiet paths that connect all people across all time. Good night, traveler of the ancient world. May your dreams be calm, and your road, wherever it leads, be gentle.